The following is an original audio series from Sierra International Machinery, Pile of Scrap, with your host, John Sacco.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pile of Scrap. I'm sitting here in Dallas, Texas, with the brothers Litman.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I have this thing with the brothers at the convention. I had the brothers Adams, the brothers Krintzman, the brother family Foons, but you know, I have a brother in the business. Brothers, Dad, we kind of come from the same makeup of how we got into this industry, but you guys have a different path. But we'll get to that in a second. All right, who's the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Did you beat him up when he was a kid? Or did he beat you up?
Well,
Come on now.
I was faster.
He was faster.
Run away from him.
Yeah, and then if I would kind of pick on him, he'd holler, and then my mom would come in, and my dad would come in, and just kind of ripple effect.
Were you the favorite?
I was the youngest.
So you were the favorite. I was the baby. I was the favorite.
youngest.
Okay. Well, that works. But, you guys are 4 years apart. And my brother and I are 4 years apart.
Right.
A business partner. And it does work. And it's interesting. So how many years you guys been working together now?
We've been working together over 30 years. 32 years.
Yeah, 32 years.
Yeah.
So when you guys have a disagreement.
Right.
And that happens. I mean, let's face it. In any family business, you got your partner, one wants to do this, one. How do you resolve it?
We come in and talk about it. Sometimes we'll go think about it for a little bit and come back. Yeah, I can probably count on one hand the time we really have had a disagreement. But on the other side of the coin, though, we back each other up. We'll have customers or employees will come in sometimes and say, well, Craig told me this or this and that, and I'll think, it sounds a little unusual. And so I'll go and say, okay, I'll check on that.
Yep.
And I'll go talk to Craig and say, Craig, did you say this? No, I didn't say that. And we tell folks, don't play us against one another.
I've had that happen to me and my brother Philip.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. When you said that, I went, oh, yeah. When I know what sounds like my brother and I know what doesn't sound like my brother, right?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
The good guy, bad guy. We played the good guy, bad guy.
Right. If something needs to be done, I'll say, well, if you don't do this, Craig's going to get on me and all this kind of stuff. Okay, well, then we'll do it another way.
So growing up, you guys had same room, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Bunk beds.
Who was on top?
I was on top.
Yeah.
Was that your choice, or whose choice was that?
Actually, it was whatever his choice was.
Right. I think there were times I was on top. We kind of traded back and forth sometimes.
Well, I never had a bunk bed situation growing up. I'm a baby of 5.
Right.
And I did have to share a room with my brothers on occasion because we only had 4. The girls got their separate rooms.
Yeah.
And there was only 2 rooms for us. So I would be with my brother Philip once in a while with my brother Anthony, but his age gap, his influence, my parents went, no. We're kids. So, and then I'd end up getting my own room there because he'd end up moving out. So that was
And
good.
our sister had her own room. So, but it really worked out well. Now, Craig sometimes when he had the upper bunk, being a little lighter than I am, he would kind of roll off and fall on the floor. And so I had to kind of make sure I was out of the way because
You were the paramedic, huh? No mouth to mouth, right?
No, I didn't have that.
How many times you roll off that bunk bed?
I don't know. A couple times. Sometimes it might have been on purpose.
Yeah.
But it was typical. It was a typical childhood. Big brother. You always look up to your big brother. You wanted to be like him. You wanted to hang out with him. And we have loved sports. Kansas City Athletics.
Right.
Kansas City.
Before they moved
Were
to
you
Oakland.
here? Did you grow up here in Dallas?
Kansas City.
We grew up in Kansas City.
You grew up in Kansas
Yes.
City.
Right. So we're
Chiefs
So big
fans.
A's fans, Chiefs fans.
Ah.
Yeah.
Super Bowl 1 and 4. So that
Oh, you
shows
lost
how,
Super Bowl 1.
I know.
To my
Our parents were
Packers.
there.
I'm a Packer fan.
Packer
You want to know
fan.
how I'm a Packer fan? My dad's
Why?
from Italy, right?
Right.
Vince Lombardi. That's the only thing. He was
there you
Italian.
go.
So I had to. Well, I was a little kid. Well, Dad told me I had to root for the Italian. Okay, I root for the Italian. So I've been a Green Bay Packer fan ever since.
Wow.
So let's talk about sports because it's been a big influence in your lives.
Right.
And you guys had paths in sports in some way or another before you even got into the recycling industry. You wanted to be a sports writer, or you were a sports writer.
Since the 5th grade, I wanted to go to school at the University of Missouri School of Journalism. That was the only school I applied to. Knock on wood, I got in because I didn't have a plan B if I didn't get in. And became a sports writer, graduated, became a sports writer, worked for a newspaper in Wichita Falls, Texas, did Friday Night Lights covering high school football for 2 years, covered the college, and we did the Super Bowl 12. But then I realized, after, is this what I really want to do? You play when everyone else works, or vice versa. You work when everyone else plays. And then I decided it was time to move on, got into public relations, did that for about 6 years. And then my dad bought a paper and rag house, and I joined him after being in a coat and tie
So how
shop.
many years from college after you graduated were you just not even thinking about working with Dad?
No, I wasn't thinking about working with.
Yeah, you're out being you're a sports journalist. So
Yeah, it was 8 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's quite a while.
Yeah,
Look, I was raised to work with Dad.
right.
I knew what I was going to do when I was at USC. I was going home. I was going to work with my dad. And here I am.
Yeah,
Dad passed away in 2009, but I was raised that way. I mean, my dad came from Italy, right? So that old Italian, the brothers we were going to be in the family business.
Right.
And there was you had no other choice. Go to college because my dad wanted to say you had a college graduate in the family.
and this was before when we were in college. Our dad didn't own the yard. He worked for another company, so he wasn't.
So you really didn't have that path.
No, he was in sales. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he
was
was in
gone
sales.
Monday through Friday
Yeah.
for a big part. Yes.
So, well, let's talk about you for a second, Craig. So your path, you were a ball player.
Yeah, I wanted to be a baseball player. Campy Campaneris was my favorite player for the Kansas City A's.
For sure.
And I always wanted to be a baseball player.
He was
Played
shortstop or second
shortstop.
base.
He was
Yeah,
shortstop.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what position did you play?
I played left field.
You're a left fielder.
So,
left
yeah.
out of the thing, huh?
That's right.
So, okay, so you're a baseball player.
Baseball player, moved to Dallas, played all the sports, played football, ran track, played baseball. Really liked baseball a lot better, and figured that I'd play in college.
So where'd you go?
So I went to the University of Missouri, had a lot of offers to smaller schools around Texas, and I really wanted to go big, which hindsight, that was a mistake. So I went to Missouri, walked on, had no scholarship, walked on, and it just didn't work out. Couldn't hit the fastball. I had the speed, I had the arm, but didn't have the bat. So decided, well, I think I'll just change courses and be an accountant.
It's funny, you couldn't hit the fastball because most people can't hit the curveball.
Yeah, I had a lot of patience.
And you
So,
could wait for that
I
curveball
could
to
wait
break.
for that curveball. So decided,
Okay, so you decide, okay, baseball, okay, I'm done. You didn't want to transfer to another school. Back in the days where you didn't really.
No,
okay,
I did transfer. So I transferred from Missouri back to Texas.
But you didn't want to play baseball then.
No.
Well, that's my point. You didn't see in today's athletic in the NCAA. If you don't make it at Missouri, well, hell, you can go to somewhere else. Transfer
Right.
portal here, transfer portal. So you could have maybe at different times though.
Right.
When you were playing college sports.
And plus my dad said, "Listen, you've already wasted a year. Now it's time to get to work. What are you going to do for your life?"
And so you chose accounting to be your major.
I really wanted to be a math major, but didn't figure what the path was. So then I got into accounting, and UT has a great accounting school, great business school. So I kept active in sports, intramurals, did all that, and that's what led me. Then graduated. Worked for a CPA firm, Big 8 firm. Did that for 4.5 years. A client hired me away. I specialized in bankruptcies. So I went to a company that was going to file bankruptcy. We filed, we reorganized, and they moved to Philadelphia. And I decided, not really an East
You're not a
Coast
Philly guy.
Not really a Philly guy.
Okay, so wait a minute. What year is this?
This was in '87.
And what year did you start work with your dad? Who did you guys come together, or did you start
I
first?
started working with my dad in '84.
Okay,
Right.
so younger brother's out
Right.
there. He's an accountant, doesn't want to move to Philly. Does big brother want little brother in the business, or
Oh yeah, absolutely.
was it because you knew the vision of the growth and you knew you couldn't do it by yourself?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, because I mean I understand the brothers thing, but the rivalry and the fun stuff, if we talk about, but what was your thought process, Dad? We need Craig in because
We were growing. I knew we got along well. I knew it would be, transition is always difficult, especially going from a white collar job now more or less a blue collar job. But I knew we were all working together as a team, and it would work. And I was on board from the very beginning.
and your
Yeah.
dad's vision. Let's talk about your dad now. I met your father years ago, before his passing, and your
Stan.
dad to me was always this like that's Stan Litman. He's,
That's right.
He's the man.
Yes.
And he had a persona. He and my father actually would love to get together at conventions and smoke their cigarettes. Yeah. And we talked about it. It's kind of nutty, but your dad reminded me of my father a lot. There was that power,
right.
But they were both incredible gentlemen.
Yes.
But there was power behind them. They had the innate ability to understand how to the entrepreneurship that these gentlemen had.
Old school.
Very old school. You know, my father from Italy. Where's your where's the Litman family from?
Kansas City.
Right, but where
before that,
where'd they come from? Europe?
From Russia.
Yeah,
Russia.
Odessa.
Right. Yeah.
Dad's from Odessa. Well, his family came from Odessa.
Well, Odessa's back into Russia today, I think, isn't it? They took it from the Ukrainians. But
I know
anyway,
that.
yeah, that's all right. So they came. Who was that? Your great-great-grandfather? Who came over? I'm just kind of curious.
His father came over.
Okay, so your dad is really the second generation,
right?
Like me,
right.
I'm second generation Italian. So your father came, so
yeah, and so he was very very old school. His dad was in the produce business, and had a produce company in Kansas City. Again, really old school, and wrote everything down in paper and pencil. And the joke was, my dad, he really didn't love computers, so we were trying to transition to computers, so we just put a monitor on his desk.
My dad wanted the same thing. He would go, he never turned.
That way he thought that he was.
he was going to get involved.
Yeah.
Okay, so your father starts this business, and then you come in first.
Right. He bought a business. He wanted a business after traveling every day during the week for several years. He wanted a business where he could stay home. So he met a man that had a paper and rag operation, and the guy said, you won't have to travel. You're home every night. So he went down there, worked for 3-4 weeks there, decided this is what he wanted, so he bought the business. And he was in it for 4 years, grew it to a stage where he needed some help, asked if I'd come down to work. So I took a week off from the public relations agency and went down and worked. Said, yeah, because I worked for a family business that owned the PR agency, but you're on call all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you come in, Joel.
Right.
All right. You get this week, you're here. When did it really click that, I got this? This is where I'm going to, plant my stakes.
Right.
This is my cup of tea. How long were you? Was it right away? Did it take you a while?
Yeah, I knew right away. I knew, because even when I was working for my dad in the first 6 months, people in the PR business would call, could I help them out? Could I do some work on the side? They need help. And I just realized I'm past that. This is where I want to be. Family business, working with my dad, rough, earthy business. I was fine with it, but this is where I wanted to be.
Craig, what about you? Now, you're an accountant.
Right.
And, books and balance sheets, that's, so many people don't understand a balance sheet. Now, were you brought in to be the internal not bookkeeper, because that's it, but to run the company via numbers, or were you brought in to be part of the growth just of everything?
I think it was a little of both, but with my background in sports, and if I wasn't playing, I was coaching or managing. So I like being with people. I like team building, and that was just part of it. Learning the business, learning to get along and manage employees, and also help with the financials and making sure things add up and the debits and credits.
Okay, so like your brother, you come in. How long before you realize, whoa, this is my destiny. This is my place. Right away?
I think it was pretty right away. Yeah, I really liked it. The coat and tie comes off. You're out there. You're meeting the public. You're learning a new business. You're managing employees. You're working with your family. It clicked pretty fast.
All right. So, a question for you about your dad. How often do you talk about your dad in business, in the office?
As time goes on, because he's been gone about 19 years now. Okay. So as time goes on, maybe a little less and less, but we know he's always around. Mm-hmm. We know he's always on our shoulder. Mm-hmm. Not so much, well, what would Dad do or this and that, because it's really past that. But we know his presence, some of the principles that he provided us or direction he gave to us, they're still here.
In June of this year, in a month, it'll be 13 years since my dad's passing, and we talk about him almost daily. Me and Jose Pereira, our general sales manager for the equipment company, or my brother and I, when we make a decision, we'd laugh. I go, what would Dad tell us right now? And we would laugh.
Yeah.
It's part of our makeup now.
Yeah.
You just don't. And I sometimes, I'll ask you guys this, because I will stand around and I look, and I can't believe my father's been gone for 13 years,
Right.
and we've built a business and it didn't crumble. What about you guys? Do you ever wonder? Seriously, seriously, because he was the foundation. He was the cornerstone, guys.
Well, and it's funny because when it was the three of us, we have all three different personalities. And so, when there's three, there's always, whatever the decision, if there's something to be made, there's 2 against 1, if it's not unanimous. So that was.
Do we have that too often?
Not, well, sometimes.
Okay.
Well, when he's gone, when he left, when he passed away, it was just Joel and I. And it's funny how we just learned, at first, what would Dad do? But we learned, just by working with him for 20 plus years, what he taught us, what worked, what didn't work. And we've always worked it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the backbone of the whole recycling industry in America, from metal recycling to paper recycling,
Right.
and to the other commodities. It's started old family businesses.
Yeah.
Now, there are some corporate stuff now, but it was all family business. This was a family mom and pa business. This was not anything. This was a corporate world.
Right.
It's interesting to talk about our dad's presence. One time we lost an account, and it was a nice size account, and I went to see the customer and tried to save it, wasn't able to. So coming back, I had about an hour or so drive on the interstate coming back, and all of a sudden I could smell cigarette smoke. There's no one in my car but me, and I don't smoke cigarettes. And you're going 70 miles an hour, and I figured that was my dad, because my dad was a smoker. That was him telling me, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And he was right. But it was just that, and
How old were you when he passed?
I was in my 40s.
Yeah, so was I. Let's see, I'm 60. I was
a quick
47
math.
when my dad passed away.
Right.
And you want to, as your kid, you think 47, man, that's old. When you're 47 and you're on your own now,
Right.
even though you're like, it's on my shoulders now.
Yeah.
The future falls upon the decisions my brother and I make. And that was, I got to tell you, that for me on a personal level was a big moment. I mean, it's like, whoa,
Yeah.
a lot heavier than when I came in.
Yeah.
It's a lot heavier, especially now as the business world has changed and more dynamics, and some of the ways we would do things with the old school. The old school doesn't always work anymore today, and so we've had to adjust. And so we do talk about times where that just doesn't work anymore. So we do wonder sometimes, what would our dad think? How would he handle it? And we just talk about it and just move on.
Well, look, we can't get away. See, this is why I love doing these podcasts and getting into not so much what it is you're doing here at Texas Recycling, but how we got here.
It's a foundation.
Because your story,
Yeah.
how you guys actually got into this and how you've grown, and it is the story of our industry. It really is. And at the convention, I got to do a podcast with the Coen brothers. They're first generation. They're young. They're 30 and 32 or whatever they were, and they're just starting out in the metal recycling. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't see that too often anymore. We're kind of the dinosaurs now. The second, third. You're only second generation. I'm second generation, right? There's a lot of fifth generation businesses out there still going.
Right.
And the recycling industry is renowned for the family business and passing it down generation after generation.
And taking those principles and that your foundation is based upon, but still adjusting to today's times and how the workforce or the workflow is done today, because that's what your customer base is. But at least you have the foundation there to start with.
If you guys, from when you started in this business, things have changed.
Right.
The need for contracts and all that. If you could go back to one of the old school ways of doing business, what would you do? You first, brother, big brother.
The old way, I would say, the most challenging part is, I think, with the labor force and saying, here's how we're doing this. And if you don't do it this way, well, there's repercussions, whether don't show up to work the next day or don't come back. You can't do that today, because if you send them home, it's hard to find a replacement for them.
Interesting.
That's right.
That's an interesting comment. What about you, Craig?
Yeah, I was going to say the labor. If I had to do it all over again, or what would I?
What could you go back in the old school when you first started, what you wish you could have in today's world?
Probably, that's a good question.
You can take my answer.
No,
No.
brother, you
No.
can't have the brother's answer. Craig, you got to come up with one.
Sorry.
If I would say I would like to, the machinery wasn't so complicated.
Okay, that's a
You know?
It
Down
was
to
a lot
one.
easier back in the days.
Right.
Electronics.
Right.
Look, I'm a equipment manufacturer, and I got to tell you, electronics and everything we do in our facility, from the material handlers, the shears, the balers, forklift, electronics has changed the game. They're
It
not
has.
as easy to work on.
It's very sophisticated now. Very
me,
sophisticated.
Pit balers. My dad, when he got he
that's
had
what I
2 pit
operated
balers.
growing up.
I know.
I would be in our bag plant because we used to have agri packaging and bags, used bags and rags. I would operate the upstroke baler. That was my gig.
Did you go down? Did you
From
go
the
down
pit,
and clean
did
it?
you clean the pit?
Guys, I would jump in it and while the doors were closed and put fish meal bagging inside a baler. Who puts anybody inside their baler? Would you put anybody inside your baler?
No way.
Yeah, that's right. But for me, I loved the old world handshake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The old world handshake doesn't exist.
Right.
There's a few of us out there.
Right.
That's if I could go back to that, man. Your word was your bond. The handshake was your deal.
When talking to people, instead of emails and texts, talk to people.
Well, when I became chairman of ISRI, this is a funny story. I got in the office, I was robbing with all the staff, and this was right before I took over. And they asked me, well, John, how do you like to communicate with? I go, pick up the phone, call me, don't email me.
Right.
The whole staff's face dropped. Oh, that's going to be a challenge. No.
Right.
I can answer your question much faster than reading an email, send, and then you're going to send me, but what did you mean about this? We can talk it out much quicker. All right, well, let's move on. This is the first podcast I've done with real, full-blown, multi-purpose paper. I did it with Jason Young, but it was more blue bin. We focused on the blue bin. But we toured your facility today. You guys are a real paper packer, processor, and you go to the mill. Most people don't understand paper recycling. They have no idea. They don't understand. First of all, they think trees are being cut out of our forests to make paper. It's not the case, right?
Not true.
Right.
Not true.
What is it?
They're a crop. They have companies. They're foresters. Their industry is you plant trees. They're slow growth, but they're chopped down to be made to go to sawmills, made into lumber and paper pulp for paper packaging and so forth. So, but they're a crop. They're designed to do that.
Yeah, nobody cries when corn or wheat or all the vegetables. They're a crop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody cries over that, but everybody cries. They think, oh, the trees were guys. It's a crop designed to get virgin pulp.
It's tree forms.
So, let's talk about virgin pulp versus recycled fiber in today's marketplace of paper products. Do you guys have a percentage of what is made from virgin, what is made from recycled product? And the whole paper world, like this great book here that was written by your daughter, by the way, which is fantastic. Would this all be virgin fiber here?
The pages probably.
Yes.
The cover is made from chipboard.
And which
Box
comes
board.
from recycled fiber.
Correct.
Right.
So, would you have a guess on all paper from cereal boxes to tissue products to
Consumer products.
Yes.
It's
60-40?
possibly. Maybe
60-40, 60 virgin, 40 recycled fiber.
Right.
So let's talk about that for a second. Now the pandemic starts. Recycling wasn't considered essential business until everybody realized that, oh, wait a minute, they're the raw material suppliers for critical manufacturing.
Correct.
How long would a paper mill in the United States run that makes product that isn't just virgin? How long would it last without recycled fiber?
Not very long. Not very long. Because if a mill is designed to run recovered fiber, it's very difficult to ship to virgin fiber. The system,
You can't convert it.
Right.
2 different systems.
So that would have been a disaster, wouldn't it?
Correct.
I mean, we had a toilet paper shortage in this country and paper towel. You couldn't get it.
Right.
How much of that percentage-wise is coming from recycled fiber?
Well, out of the home, almost 100%.
outside the home,
outside the
in
home.
restaurants. And,
Right.
Well, they got
Right.
or
Away from the home market
away from the home market.
for the tissue and the paper towels.
Yeah, that's they call it the away from home industry. And so when the pandemic hit and fewer people were going to offices or going out, they're staying home, that market did drop because people weren't buying tissue for the restrooms, for the restaurants, for airplanes. The little napkin you get with your drink on the plane, that's made from recovered fiber.
All the fast food restaurants are still open.
Right.
Through drive-through, and all those napkins you get in a fast food from recycled fiber.
When you go to Starbucks, those are made from recycled fiber, recovered fiber.
Okay, so the cup carriers that you get that's looks like it's made from something, but it's a recycled fiber, right?
Right.
Eggs, right?
Egg
Went to the
cartons.
store, 8 cartons, right?
Molded pulp, it's called. That's made from newsprint and other items as well that are collected for recovered fiber.
So much I think the American public doesn't realize that first they drive to the grocery store with a car that's made from how much recycled metal, right? Then they get their grocery cart made from recycled metal, and they go through the grocery store, right? And they buy stuff that's packaged.
Boxes, all food packaging.
Recycled fiber. And then the store takes all the boxes they received it from, bales it up, sends it back to a paper mill for more packaging because all that stuff arrives palletized in packages.
Right.
Right.
And so, and a corrugated box can be recycled 6-7 times before the fiber really weakens. So, but it's continually, and about 90% of corrugated is collected today for recycling. So it's a nice, strong number.
Yeah, as now we're coming out of the pandemic, and as restaurants are opening up, and all the different places, industrial businesses that have opened up, and you go through all the products that are used that are made out of paper, so much of it is recycled fiber.
Correct.
And we were in your warehouse today, and this is Home Depot. We saw a box that says Home Depot, and of course, you're going to have Lowe's, and you got all the other big. There's a gazillion of them. So,
Right.
but it was one that had Home Depot. So they buy their boxes that are made from 100% recycled fiber, right?
Right.
So they receive their products, put it on their shelf, take that cardboard, send it back out, and it gets remade into new packaging. But nobody knows this.
They may see on the box it's 100% recycled, but they don't really understand the steps it goes through to get to that point.
So who's going to educate the public? Whose responsibility, or is there a responsibility to educate the public?
I think it'd be a great marketing tool for the manufacturers to do that.
I do too. Well, look, you guys know I do a Super Bowl ad with the pizza box.
Right.
Right? Because everybody eats pizza at a Super Bowl, it seems like. And it's fascinating because Pratt and Westrock came out and said pizza boxes are recyclable. Pull the plastic out of it, the grease pad in there, keep the food out of it. It's a recycled. It's fine. It's a pizza box made from recycled fiber, right?
Right.
So, but there's not one commercial that the sustainability of this planet and that the pizza companies are doing their part by buying and packaging a pizza in a recycled product, and it's don't put it in the garbage can, put it in your recycle bin, and let's reuse it. But nobody says that. Why?
I think it comes to costs, economics.
But what cost?
To market that, to put together a campaign.
But you see that all the time. Everybody's campaigning, and we're green. We got the electric vehicle, the new Mercedes Super Bowl. Everybody's got electric. How green and wonderful.
True.
And the electric car is more expensive than the non-electric car.
Lithium batteries are not the easiest dang things to recycle.
Right.
But
we haven't got there yet.
Those are companies, those are made by companies that market, that go out and market on TV, radio, whatever. So they know paper companies are a little more traditionally more conservative. You don't see TV campaigns for them. To go out and
But you
produce,
see it from pizza companies.
Because they're selling
Food packaging, cereal boxes, all these things, all the products that you see on TV, consumer products that are packaged and shipped. Home Depot, come to Home Depot for whatever their slogan is. Well, how about Home Depot having a talk about, hey, our fine products are shipped to us in recycled boxes. They're made from recycled fiber, and we recycle them. Home Depot, we're doing our part for reducing our cost, but nobody's doing
Or
it.
any company that's selling a product at the end of the commercial.
Everybody wants to be
all of our
diversified.
packaging, all of our packaging is 100% recycled.
See, I think
What a great
I think it comes down
marketing
to
tool.
someone bringing it up and saying that's what we want to talk about, and then the higher levels say, yes, we're going to talk about that. Well, but we got this product here to sell. No, we're not going to sell that product right now. We're going to talk about recycling.
every company wants to be viewed as green, viewed as diversified. Look, ESG, environmental safety and governance. What is all that about? You know, what is the environment your business is doing to the community around you? Not polluting your environment. What's the environment? What are you creating for the environment around you? What are you creating for the environment for your employees, right? Safety. Are you providing a safe workplace for your employees? Does it not hard hats, glasses, and steel-toed shoes, but do your employees, are they safe when they come to work here from discrimination, right? Governance. G of the ESG. Governance. What are we doing to promote people of color, females, and people in our businesses?
Right.
So here we are. Oh, this is all across the board. This is every public company has this impact report on sustainability, ESG. And none of them are talking about what they're doing for the environment through the packaging, through the products they're using that come from recycled products.
It just hasn't gotten to a level yet where it really kind of pinches people to say, we need to talk about that.
Now, that drives me absolutely crazy.
I know.
All right, so
not saying it's not, it needs to be, but with everything else going on, I just think
here
it
are
just hasn't.
companies that have revenues in the billions, but it's companies who have revenues in the millions who are sending the message out.
Right.
There's something wrong with that, gentlemen. I got a problem with that. All right. Before we get to a topic I want to bring up, let's talk about logistical issues today. Transportation. How's it affecting your business?
I think it's had an impact. One, we're having to really think further out as far as scheduling outbound loads and so forth. Where we are in Dallas, with several interstate highways coming in and being a major hub, I think we're fortunate that we haven't seen the impact a lot of other parts of the country have. But it's still something we have to stay on top of more than we did a few years ago.
Well,
and the costs. And the costs are just
right.
How many trucks do you guys have out there?
We have 10 trucks.
Yeah, your fuel cost doubled in the last few
Oh,
years.
exactly.
Yeah.
And to grow, and we want to get more trucks, it's a year out.
Have you priced
It's
them
a
out
year
yet?
out.
How much more they are? Yeah, so the capital goods, look, I'm a manufacturer, all right? Full transparency, I make machines. When I'm seeing consumer price index up 8%, inflation, I'm like, that's no. The producer's price index is up 15, 20%, and that's the real cost of manufacturing.
Right.
We're over 20%. Everybody's suffering over 20% increases from components, steel prices, copper price. I mean, with copper, anything made with an electric motor or electronics in it, that's more money. Aluminum's up. It's like take a hospital. An operating room can't be built without recycled metals and recycled fiber, because that stuff is shipped in boxes. That comes from recycled. Stainless steel, copper, aluminum, all that stuff in operating rooms, the tools. You have a knee replacement, right?
Yeah.
That's 50% recycled metal in your knee.
I'm green.
The Green Hornet, or whatever it was. What was it? The Green Hornet? Green Hornet.
Green Hornet, yeah.
Yeah,
We live
you
on
are
Green
green.
Acres.
All right,
Yes.
well, listen, you are I want to bring in the third generation. I want the third generation to come sit down here. All right, well, there's a little break there in the action as we bring in Joel's daughter, Hillary.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be sitting here.
Are you sure? You're looking a little
We're glad you're here.
What's going on out there if you're in here?
Yeah, now
You know,
Dad's worried nothing's going on
right.
out there. Well, fantastic. So you're third generation.
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are your duties here at Texas Recycling?
I handle a lot of our communications,
Okay.
whether that's with our marketing side or our commercial side, dealing with customers.
Community too?
I help with that. Joel and Craig have done a really great job, especially when we moved here, making sure we had a big impact in our community here. And so whether it's National Night Out or there's a backpack drive at the school across the street. And growing up, I always loved to volunteer and helping out in the community. So that was one thing I really like to help continue to do as well here.
Did you ever think you were going to be working for Dad in the recycling industry?
Absolutely
All right,
not.
where'd you go to school?
Undergrad, University of Miami, and then I have my MBA from St. Edward's in Austin.
Okay, so you're born and raised in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
Dallas. You're going to go to University of Miami. Why'd you choose Miami? Just curious. I mean, my son goes to TCU. He's from Bakersfield, California. I went to USC. Wife, daughter, USC.
Well, growing up, I thought I was a Longhorn. Like that's what my path
Don't
was.
tell me you got rejected.
Well, I realized things happen for a reason, and that wasn't the best path for me. And that was the best decision ever, is to get out, go live in Florida, get away from my, still my
Get
friends.
away from mom and dad.
My
right.
friends, but, I was all worried about like, oh, I'm going to lose my friendships. No, that doesn't happen, and I made new friends, and I lived in an amazing city, and I just experienced so much more. And
What was your major?
business.
Okay, so you have this business,
Well, actually, I started off pre-med. And I started off pre-med.
a Jewish
And-
dad's dream, right? I always have a doctor in the family. Come on.
And I was in an honors biology class, and I just said, why am I here? This is so not the right path for me.
I was going to say, was it organic chemistry
Oh,
that
God.
knocked
No,
out?
I didn't get that far.
Oh, man,
no,
that-
just
that
honors
knocks-
biology.
That is what.
Yeah.
That's the separator right there,
Yeah.
man. You can get past the organic
Oh,
chem, you can be a doctor.
Yeah.
Really, it's almost.
OChem is awful. I mean, for people who enjoy it, you know what? That's the right path for them. But yeah, no, not
Okay,
for me.
so what were you going to do? What was your dream?
I love doing research, and I'm just curious of why people, buy this product or that product. So actually, my first job once I graduated college was at a marketing research firm, and so it was kind of the end. We weren't the consumer. We were the ones conducting the service, but it's kind of like, why am I buying this product over this product? It's not price, but this is shinier. So I just kind of always thought I'd go into marketing.
Don't you think people will buy things now if it comes from recycled fiber? It's packaged that way? I do.
I
think-
do. I mean, now that I've learned it and been in the industry for a little bit longer and just really gotten to know kind of a little bit more about it, because growing up, I never understood it. I didn't really have an interest. The only question I remember asking my dad was how many customers they had that day. But now I completely
research.
understand what that means, and for our buyback, and how many customers did we have, and what did that generate.
So how long after graduation before you came to work here?
So after I graduated college, I worked for about 3 to 4 years down in Miami. Realized I needed to change. Was looking to actually I had a job, but that was in 2008 when the market just everything crashed. So I said, you know
September.
what? Now is a great time to go get my MBA.
Okay.
So I got accepted to an MBA program at St. Edward's in Austin, and I think it was about 3 years, 4 years, 4 years. And then I graduated, came home, and was like, oh, okay, I'll take some time off. Maybe I'll go travel. And my dad said, I'll see you Monday at work.
That's pretty heavy.
And it's been
Yep, heavy-handed.
He
Wow.
goes, you don't take time off yet. You need to get, you
Oh, yeah.
need to start
so when
working.
you came to work here, did you have to answer to Uncle Craig?
I don't know if y'all remember, but I think it was in college. I worked for them, I think for like a summer. I had knee surgery, and I needed to do something. So I came to work here, and that was kind of the first time I kind of had a little foot in the door just to see the day-to-day operations of what they do.
So who else from any other siblings of yours in here?
No, not that worked here now.
My other daughter worked for us for 3 weeks?
Yeah.
She helped
answered
answer the phones.
Actually, that you are,
Actually,
huh, Joel?
Carly and Taylor answered the phone together. My youngest one.
So
They would answer
interest-
the phone.
And my
Interesting.
wife worked way before I did with my dad. My wife and dad worked.
So my brother, my daughter who graduated last May from USC, worked for Oracle and decided tech sales just wasn't her, okay? And, she couldn't land the job before to the point where she had had enough. And so she had had enough. And my brother wanted to get my daughter into Sierra. How about you? When you see Hillary out there, you're like, we can use this here.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, I have another one in the family, too. It's, you know, when Joel and I joined my dad, we all had a rule that one of us always had to be here. There had to be a Litman here at all times. You know, because, you know, just
It's
so
good
much going
practice.
on. Yeah. And it just, you know, when Hillary decided to come, it just like it was like an aha moment, like, yeah, you know, someone else in the family coming in, helping out. And it's a trust issue as well.
Absolutely, 100%. So can she sign checks?
Yes.
That's a real trust
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
See, no, but that's cool. No, and I know, you know, I kind of say it jokingly, but the truth is you got, you know, I understand that. That is just, it's old world.
Yeah.
You know, I pick up the mail at Sierra every day I'm in town.
Right.
Once in a while I don't because I have an appointment here, there, whatever. But I pick up the mail.
Right.
Right.
You want to see if you just want to know what's coming
Oh,
in.
you want what's coming in. And with Hillary here, if Craig and I are out, you know, she's her eyes and ears. She kind of knows what needs to be done, what to look for, what to watch for, and so forth. And so it gives us a good, you know, good peace of mind.
It's a comfort level.
Yeah, yeah.
So, married, children?
I have a stepson.
Okay. All right. So
15.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Instant, yeah. Instant
Right.
teenager, right? So full time here. You is that where you want to be? Meaning you want to be a full time career woman.
I love it. I do. I mean, just something as simple as just getting to see my dad and my uncle every day, but also just knowing a legacy that I'm helping carry on. My husband actually came from a family business as well. And
What does he do?
his family's in the furniture business here in Dallas.
Okay.
And I think he was
was
fourth
four
generation.
generations.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they just recently closed, but it was 80 plus years.
What's he doing now?
Real estate.
Okay. So
But so just kind of, you know, being with somebody also who's in the family industry, I mean, you kind of get it. You know, it's not like,
well, my wife's family owns a restaurant in Delhi that's been 110 years old, 112
Oh,
years old.
wow.
That's since 1910.
Wow.
112 years old. And she doesn't, you know, now that we're semi-empty nesters since our son is here in Texas and our daughter lives in LA, she goes down there and works a lot more. And she works behind the scenes on a lot of things. But son's coming home for summer, so I don't think she'll work as much. But yeah, you know, understanding the family dynamics. So now wait a minute, Dad, I got something here to say. Young
Okay.
daughter in the
Right,
industry.
right.
Isri has the Young Executive Committee, also has the Women's
Women's and
Council.
recycling, right?
Am I going to see you there?
hopefully. I mean,
What do you mean, hopefully?
Well, no.
I did hope, but the hope is...
Yes,
There's
no,
one
I.
or two answers.
Yeah.
They have
No, I
it.
think getting involved, especially a woman in this industry, is very important. I mean, Kathy, our sales rep, I mean, our VP here, she's been in this industry for
16
Yeah, I
16
see her. I
years.
saw her with your
Yeah.
dad at the convention.
Yeah,
Right.
and just, I mean, what she's seen and how much it's starting to change and just getting more women involved is, I mean,
Well,
it's
look,
incredible.
I just think I understand. Oh, well, I can't understand not being a woman, but I understand the woman angle. But to me, it's that next generation. I don't care what it is, man, female, somebody with an arm growing out of the top of their head. I don't care. I think it's so important for the legacy of our industry because the historical and institutional knowledge that keeps going forward and promoting our industry. Because, yeah, I do believe, you know, look, you got the head of commercial metals. She's a female.
Right.
Head of Schnitzer Steel, female. That's awesome. You know, and the more, the better, and the more integration, and seeing what you saw with Jacqueline Lotzcar,
Yeah.
Young Executive of the Year this last year.
Right.
And Jacqueline's fantastic.
And you're seeing more and more of your customers and your generators too. They're becoming more diverse, more women that we're dealing with. And so
100%.
forth. When I got in the business in 1984, very few women, very few young people,
Yeah.
and it's the transition over the years and generation. That's where business is going.
Well, look. I'm the choir because I was chairman of Israel. I think any young, next generation person in the business needs to be involved with Israel in the Young Executive Committee. Being a female, you need to be part of the what's the name of the committee?
Women of Recycling.
Women of Recycling. You
Right.
need to be involved with that. Not only will you gain friendships and from that and knowledge that you can bring back here, that'll help just helps grow you and then and the young executives, because look, that's
the future.
that you are the future. And so I highly encourage you, Dad.
Yes.
She's got to be involved. Now, do you call him Dad? What do you call him?
You know,
Depends.
it depends.
What do you call him here at work?
I'd say lately, in the past few years, I've gotten more of Joel and Craig versus Dad and Uncle Craig. You know, which is at first was very strange for me to say, because growing up, he was always Uncle Craig and this was my dad. But I feel like also business-wise and professionally, it kind of changed that angle for me too.
Me, it was always Dad.
Yeah,
I
same
didn't
with
care
our
what
dad.
business environment. It was always Dad. And my nephew, who's our West Coast sales, Canada West sales rep, he always calls me Uncle John. And once in a while, he'll say John in a meeting. But it's like it doesn't. He's like you trying to. How old are you?
40. I'll be 40 in
Okay, so he's 30. He's going to be 34 coming up here in less than a month. And so it's always Uncle John. And so once in a while in a meeting with other people, he'll call me John, but it's not natural to him. Because that's how we were
it's
raised.
not natural.
You know, how many people, I'm 60, right? So I meet somebody, hi, Mrs. Saba. She'll say, John, you can call, she was from Georgia. She goes, John, you can call me Elizabeth. Okay, Mrs. Saba.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you Elizabeth. I was raised to call you Mrs.
Yeah.
Or
And-
Mr.
And
We always call Dad Dad.
We always call them that,
Yeah.
and some people would say, well, if you're working with your dad, there needs to be a division. You know, at home you call him Dad, at work you call him by his first name. But we just
Yeah, we
to
never
call
did.
our dad Stan,
Yeah.
that would be so
just
uncomfortable.
not, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And
You
he
know,
was
and-
okay with it. And he
Well,
called
no,
Dad
and I
great.
get it. And you and look, your uncle and your dad, you know, they understand when you want to use it for. And I guess ultimately that's the new world we live in. But
And it's okay.
I'm from the old world, and I
too.
just, you know, and that doesn't change. Well, listen, I'm going to wrap up this podcast. This is what a great time to be with the Litman brothers. Litman, daughter, a Freed. You're a Litman, okay? Sorry,
No.
sorry to Mr. Freed, but he's a lucky young man, by the
He's
way.
very lucky.
Very,
He's very lucky.
like Dad goes. He's
And we're
very
lucky.
lucky.
And we're lucky to have him too. We're lucky to have him too.
You're lucky to have him too. Well,
Yes.
that's fantastic. Well, listen, I want to wish all of you the best. I want to start seeing you at Israel event. Dad,
Yes.
she's got to go.
Okay, absolutely.
No, she needs to go, because that development. Because look, at event, at a certain
It's where you
part,
build relationships, networking, and as we've been involved with it for many years, and there's just a big payoff in getting involved.
yeah, because the next generation's got to
One
take
thing
this
about
back.
that too, and what I love being a third generation is I have gone to conventions and conferences, and it's like, oh, you're a Litman. Oh, we know your uncle and your dad and your grandpa and all that. I love that. You
That's
know.
instant door open.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your grandpa was a great man.
Yes.
And, you know, I was fortunate enough to know him. And not around him a lot, but around him enough to know he was the man.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
A very good gentleman. A real gentleman in the true sense, but the real entrepreneur, that old school family man, you know, so much, you know, the Jewish families and the Italian families, we have so much in common.
Right, right.
Where we came from and how we raised our families and that whole, that's just how we are. That's how we were raised. And that's, this industry still has a lot of that. And that's why you got to keep it going. It's like my nephew. Now my son is starting, my daughter, she's probably going to go to work for Fox Sports. We don't know yet.
That's fantastic.
Your daughter in the sports industry.
She's an author now?
I think that's why I have this book on it, because I think it is absolutely amazing, your daughter following her passion
Right.
and doing that. And that's what I want my daughter. But my son is starting to, he says to me this summer, he goes, Dad, can I do more than sweep floors and pack parts? I think I have more to offer to Sierra than Dad. I said,
Yeah.
okay.
Technology, what can you do on the computer? 'Cause
Oh,
that's
you
where
kidding? He tells me all the time, Dad, we need to change the computers over here. You got some, and we've done all that. So when he comes back this summer, he's going to see a whole new world, which is going to be great.
Right.
But listen, thank you for all of you
Oh,
for taking the
yeah,
time, for
thank
allowing
you.
me to come in here, disrupt your day completely.
That's okay. There'll be another one tomorrow. So
Yeah, there'll be another disruptor around
Exactly.
tomorrow. That doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But thank you to Litman family, and you got.
So glad you came
We're
to
going to
see
sign
us.
off, and You won't know this because we didn't coach her on this part of it, doggone it. But that's it for another episode of
Pile of Scrap.
Yeah.
This has been a Sierra International Machinery original audio series. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast and make sure to subscribe.